Welcome back, everyone. This will be my brand new Thor Love and Thunder video for Knull, God of the Symbiotes, and all the Eternals Easter eggs, them setting up much bigger cosmic things in the background. I've been getting a lot of questions about the Knull character in general because he's so big for the Gorr the God Butcher and Necrosword storyline. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Marvel Comic-Con is starting next week. There's going to be so many trailers that they're bringing for everything. I'll try to do as many videos as possible. We're supposed to get a Black Panther 2 trailer. They're bringing What If Season 2. We might get an X-Men 97 trailer for the X-Men Revival series. And that's just the beginning. We'll probably get some teasers for Secret Wars. They did say that they would make a bunch of big reveals about the direction of Marvel Phase 4. And they've just been setting up Time Runs Out, Secret Wars. And we know about a lot of the movies that are coming in Marvel Phase 4 already that they've announced, but that are a couple years away still. Careful for spoilers for Thor Love and Thunder if you haven't seen the movie yet, but a lot of you have been asking how Gorr, the Necrosword, are connected to Knull, God of the Symbiotes, because in the comics they are deeply connected. Originally, the Necrosword was created as a piece of himself. It's the primal symbiote, like the very first symbiote. You can actually wield it and control all other symbiotes. This is a big connection to the Venom character in the Venom mythology. Because they have this big Sony and Marvel sharing deal for the Spider-Man character and all these Spider-Man spin-offs that Sony's doing on its own, they've been trying to set up their own version of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame that they can spin up to, like a really universe-spanning story, very cosmic story, kind of like what Marvel is doing over in the MCU side of things right now. There was an actual deleted scene during Venom Let There Be Carnage where they talk about Knull and start to set the character up. It's a little bit raw, but this is it.
This is where we began.
We'll make them pay for what they did to us.
All humans are pestilence.
Oh, God.
Why look to God when you have him right here, the Father of all?
But technically, isn't Eddie Brock's monster your father?
A new breed.
Wait.
I will eat your face.
Sorry. I
To those who speak of humanity, we say only our offspring survive. We can create a new race, part human, part symbiote, that will rule the world. The unholy trinity.
They're trying to set up a whole bunch of things with that scene, like the whole idea that the Carnage symbiote is going to give birth to the Toxin symbiote eventually, but also Knull, God of the Symbiotes. Like there is an actual god of the symbiotes that they worship. Making the connection back to Thor Love and Thunder, Gorr and the Necrosword. So in the movie at the beginning, when Gorr sees the previous wielder of the Necrosword, he's being killed by Gorr's gods, but he's covered all in black. Then the Necrosword calls to him. You hear these voices speaking to him from the sword and telling him all these details about how to find eternity, telling him to kill the gods. What's happening there is that the Necrosword, as the primal symbiote, is basically Knull himself, speaking to him, telling him what to do, just like the Venom symbiote does with Eddie during the Venom movies. All the symbiotes have their own consciousness, the Clintar race, but the difference with the Necrosword is that it's called the primal symbiote because it's the very first one. It's literally a piece of Knull's body that he used to slaughter all the most powerful beings after the Big Bang and creation of the universe. Knull is a cosmic being, like a cosmic god-level being who existed in the void of nothingness before the Big Bang. He hates creation and everything that came after, like all living beings that came after the Big Bang. So he essentially wants to return the universe back to nothingness, back to the void. It's kind of like what the Dark Elves were doing during Thor Love and Thunder. A little while ago, they made a much bigger connection with Thor in the comics too. Like Thor encountered the primal symbiote a couple different times. It's just that its most notable story is the origin of the Necrosword. For instance, the dead Celestial that we see in Guardians of the Galaxy, Nowhere, it's like the head of a dead Celestial, that belonged to Jemiah the Analyzer. He is a Celestial who was killed by the Necrosword, essentially chopping his head off. That's where that head came from. Because right after creation, the only things for Knull to attack were basically the Celestials. Like cosmic entities did exist, but really were the Celestials that existed there as physical beings. Usually the cosmic entities exist in alternate planes of existence, like alternate dimensions. That's why they had to use the Bifrost to get to actual Eternity's consciousness. They had to travel to a little pocket dimension to get to where it actually exists. It's not like if you had a regular spaceship, you could just use it to fly to eternity in part of the universe. But the reason why Knull himself isn't running around in the MCU right now is because after he created the primal symbiote, eventually it spawned and created other regular symbiotes, and then all those symbiotes banded together to trap him for all eternity. But after that, the primal symbiote still existed, the Necrosword still existed, people could use it. Eventually Gorr found it and started using it to kill all these gods. That's why he was able to do it, why it was so powerful, because it's basically the piece of this cosmic being. In the Eternals movie in the Loki series, we get a little bit of history from this early period in the MCU, like right around when the Big Bang is happening. Arishem the Judge tells this story about how he's the Prime Celestial, the thing that came before the universe and created the first galaxy, the first sun. But the really interesting thing they just did in Thor Love and Thunder, some of you have also asked me about this. If you watch closely towards the end of the movie, when they're in that hall with all the cosmic entities, one of them that crumbles, like this big head of a Celestial, is actually the Prime Celestial, the true Prime Celestial. It's also called the One Above All, but it's not meant to be like the one true God, One Above All. Like there are two different things in Marvel Comics that are called the One Above All, so people confuse them all the time. This one is just the true Prime Celestial, so Arishem the Judge is just the leader of the current version of the Celestial Host. This one was the leader of the original first Celestial Host. So it's just more evidence that Arishem the Judge was also lying about the true origin of the universe. In the Eternals movie, you find out he was lying about a lot of things to the Eternals. It makes sense that he'd be lying about other stuff too. But for instance, the Necro Sword in the movie is said to come from the Shadow Realm. Gorr uses the Shadow Realm to travel around. He commands all these Shadow Beasts. It seems like they were trying to do a lot of the Knull backstory and connections without literally coming out and mentioning the name Knull. Like the Shadow Demons in the Shadow Realm are very much in the vein of Knull without them coming right out and saying it. For instance, the Shadow Realm is kind of like the Void from before the universe existed, and the Shadow Demons look and act just like symbiotes and are controlled by the Necro Sword the same way that the Primal Symbiote controls all other symbiotes. So you can see Sony is just trying to tie things to Marvel as much as possible. Marvel has big cosmic plans with what's happening in Marvel Phase 4, mostly Secret Wars plans, but Sony also wants to have their own version of something on that level, and that's basically Knull, because they control the Spider-Man rights, and they're basically trying to create a Spider-Man type of universe on their side of things. If it wasn't clear, they've already explained that the Venom movies and the Morbius movie both happen on the same planet, and now they have the Madam Web movie, and obviously there are a lot of multiverse connections in that. She'll also probably be on that same Earth that Venom comes from. One of the reasons why I think they avoided saying Knull's name in Thor Love and Thunder is, one, just because they chopped the movie down to 2 hours, which apparently was a mandate that was given to Taika Waititi by Disney and Marvel. Like, that's why there's so many deleted scenes. I already did a separate video about all the biggest deleted scenes. There are a lot of them. Like, this could have been a 4-hour movie. Also, during Venom Let There Be Carnage, in the post-credit scene, the Venom symbiote sounds like it's getting ready to tell Eddie about all this history behind the origin of the Clintar race and Knull, god of the symbiotes. When it tells him about revealing 80 billion years of history, it's talking about across time and space. So it's talking about this grand history, but also existing across the multiverse. And that was sort of meant to set up what was happening with Spider-Man No Way Home, with all the different versions of Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man, all from different universes. That's also the reason why Eddie Brock's Venom symbiote from his universe recognized Tom Holland's Spider-Man, saying that guy, because even though he didn't know Tom Holland until J. Jonah Jameson pointed him out, he remembered a version of Spider-Man because the Hive memories that he was accessing were from the Topher Grace's version of Venom from a different universe, so he remembered that guy, the Spider-Man guy. And if you watch a lot of the Spider-Man news after Venom Let There Be Carnage came out and after Spider-Man No Way Home came out, all the actors were talking about eventually doing a big Venom Spider-Man crossover. There was just a lot of questions about which version of Spider-Man they were going to use, but the way that Tom Holland and Tom Hardy talked about it, it was going to be their two versions of the characters crossing over with each other at some point, and it was going to happen on the Sony side of things, according to Kevin Feige. Like, Sony was going to handle whatever that Spider-Man vs. Venom movie was going to be. They already confirmed they're making Venom 3, but I think that's mostly going to be a Toxin movie just based on the things that they set up during Venom Let There Be Carnage. I think all the larger cosmic stuff, all the Knull God of Symbiote stuff, all those deleted scenes are for something way further down the line, something way bigger. It's kind of like them setting up Doctor Strange 3 with the Clea post-credit scene in Doctor Strange 2, but also kind of trying to set up Secret Wars. I know there are a lot of questions with the way Marvel's been doing a lot of its recent post-credit scenes, like, what are they setting up here? Is this Secret Wars? Is there other stuff they're setting up here too? The answer is always yes. Always setting up the next movie for this one particular character, but also setting up something way bigger down the line. That's why Comic-Con next week is so important as I'm posting this video, because yes, we will get the Black Panther 2 trailer, but Kevin Feige has said that they will reveal more concrete plans about what the actual roadmap is going to be. Like, we all have theories about the way that Secret Wars is going to go down eventually, but we don't know exactly how the roadmap is going to go. So I'll do as many Marvel Phase 4 videos and trailer videos as possible next week. Make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss any of that. And if you do have any questions about what's going on with Knull in the greater scheme of things at Sony and Marvel, just write it below in the comments. There's only room for like a couple big things the next couple of years, but obviously they're trying to set up like a billion things in the background. Everyone click here for my brand new Loki Season 2 first look video and Easter eggs, and click here for my brand new Mandalorian Season 3 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.